Good morning and welcome to the Morning Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ham, coming to you as always from the Spotlight Studios here in Morristown, New Jersey. My guest today formerly ran a digital marketing agency and now serves as a mortgage funding specialist for Cardinal Financial. She was named the top 25 brand builder by Leading Woman Entrepreneur and recognized as an influential Latino millennial media agency in New Jersey by NJ Biz in 2017 and has been featured in the Huffington Post, CEO Blog Nation, and many other media outlets. She served as a host, presenter, panelist, and workshop speaker for entrepreneurial organizations and sales professional events, and now she's here on the Morning Spotlight. She is Vicky Llerena. Vicky, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited.
I'm very excited too. So basically, we both live in New Jersey. I've never met you before. This is the first time we've ever actually talked. But one of the things that I like to do is people that are very active on social media that are in the same world as me. Like I try to be pretty active, but you are way more active than me. So respect. But talk to me about like what do you do? Like, let's talk about what you do first. And then then we'll kind of get into all the extra stuff that you do.
So when people ask me like, Vicky, what is it that you do? I can really say like, I'm a loan officer assistant. I work from work, blah, 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 blah. But really what I do is I help people get into their first property. I help people go from renters to landlords, from, just a tenant to now being a homeowner, from that, like, I'm paying someone else's mortgage to I now own property to an investor. So it was really about, I got on this mission in 2021 that I was no longer on the destination to become a loan officer. I was on a mission to help build generational wealth. And how was I going to do that? Someone like myself with a background in marketing, not mortgages, someone that, really has some property, but not expansive portfolio. Maybe I didn't have the platform or the audience or the credibility, but I said, you know what, I'm just going to share my experience. I'm just going to share my experience of what it took me to buy my first property. So 2021 was really marked my mission to help more renters become landlords and women, particularly Latina women, become investors and their own landlord.
Right. So I know like the mission, the actual mission started just last year. So we're recording this in January of 2022. So it just started, less than a year. Yeah. Yes. Less than a year ago. But talk to me about how you got started in real estate. Like what was the impetus, I guess, behind, making maybe the jump or the kind of transition from marketing into what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's my nephew. So I came from a marketing background, worked at PR Newswire, corporate. They were the pioneers of press releases, wire distribution. I hated my job. I had a bachelor's in journalism, a master's in political science, and I graduated during the market crash. So no one was hiring, it was horrible time to graduate. So I worked in corporate part-time, then I went into full-time and I said, this can't be life. Like there's no way that, I can go into work, sit in my cubicle 9 to 5, ask permission to go to the bathroom, ask permission to take a day off. This is not what I went to school for.
Right.
So my last year in corporate, I told myself I would save enough money where I would exit and I would do something different. What that was, I had no clue, no idea. My family was in real estate at the time. My brother-in-law opened up a brokerage in New Jersey, small boutique. I did not want to become an agent. I didn't see myself doing that. So I saved enough money. I was working 9 to 5 at PR Newswire, teaching college classes in the evenings, doing that 5 days a week. And I saved enough where I could sustain myself for close to 1 year without working. Gave him my 2-week notice and I left corporate and with no clue of what type of business I wanted to do or what would be my next direction. So I just started YouTubing. I started learning back then, and we're not talking that long ago, maybe about 7 years ago, 6 years ago. What happened, honey? Can I go in the bathroom? Yes, go ahead. Social media wasn't a thing. Social media marketing, everyone was still experimenting. How do brands capitalize on this? So I started to research, practice, acquire clients. One of my clients who owned a mortgage company, happened to be a really good client of ours. He approached me 2 years ago and he said, I think you'll be a good fit for what I'm looking to do. And I said, what is that? He was like, I'm looking to build a brand within the mortgage, within my mortgage company, and disrupt the real estate industry. So that stuck to me, to disrupt an antiquated industry. And I said, I don't know if I'm your girl. I really don't. I run this boutique marketing agency with my business partners. There was a small group of us. We have pretty good clientele, but I don't know if I can do this. So I took the leap of faith. I accepted the challenge. So I was simultaneously working the marketing agency while I was helping him build this brand that at the time was known as this real estate disruptor. And the whole idea was we were going to attract real estate agents that, by the way, are great referral partners for a mortgage company, right? Yep. But we were going to attract them through this brand called Real Estate Disruptor. We would have educational seminars on social media marketing. We would have crazy open houses with artists and car vendors. And we did it successfully. Prior to the pandemic, we did it successfully for 1 year. And we were able to build this brand called Real Estate Disruptors.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on.
Good. Yes.
Yeah. So, awesome. So one of the things you mentioned in there was working the corporate job and then going out kind of on your own almost. So one of the things that I like with our show is the majority of the people that listen are between the ages of 25 and 35. They're generally in the real estate industry, not all the time. Some are entrepreneurs, some are working corporate 9-to-5s and maybe trying to do something else, whether it's real estate investing or whatever. So I feel like this is like a good story to kind of learn about because it's going to resonate with a lot of people. So, talk to me about, so I have a bachelor's in political science and an MBA. So similar. So we're kind of in the same ballpark. But then I coached college baseball for 5 years and then started working like weird jobs. And now I sell title insurance. So I'm kind of like all over the map. But talk to me about the mindset. Like I know you said that you weren't happy in that corporate 9-to-5, but it still takes a lot of guts to make that jump from what you were doing, like the safe way, to doing what you want to do, and maybe something that actually like makes you feel fulfilled. So take me through like that thought process and was it scary? I would imagine, right?
I think my fiance at the time was like trying to talk me out of it. Like, are you sure you want to do this? Of course. Listen, like I think anything that's new, that you've never tried, that's uncertain, it's going to be scary. It really is going to be scary. But I think everyone, whether it's relationships, your job, your financial living situation, your physique, a personal relationship you may have, at the end of the day, if it's something that's destroying you internally, do you want to stay stuck in that situation? At that point, it no longer becomes your boss telling you you need this job, your boyfriend telling you, no, you need to stay with me, your landlord telling you, no, these are the conditions of the property and I'm not changing it. At that point, it's your decision to change your circumstances. And I reached that point. Yeah. Like I had zero experience on entrepreneurship, never took a course on it, never thought it was possible. It was never explored in college. I had, I think, zero skills in like really marketing, digital marketing. So I was exiting with like the unknown, but I think I got to the point where I'm like, it's either I stay here and I remain. And the company, which was, it happened, the company became acquired by Cision. Cision bought out PR Newswire. Then they downsized or they moved people around the department. So I said, it's either I stay and I have to adapt to the new CEO, the new culture, new company. And I just, I'm there, I'm collecting my paycheck every 2 weeks, or I just take the risk and I go for it. That really comes down to that, a matter of choice.
Yeah. So we had a guest on, actually the guest that we posted the other day. And one of the things that she talked about was just like having a safety net. Like if you have a safety net, people tend to use the safety net. And I think that was like a really good way to kind of put it. It's like sometimes you got to make the jump. Like if you're going to do something, just go for it. And it seems like that's what you did. So then kind of like as we so you're doing the marketing stuff and then you move on to the real estate disruptors and all that kind of stuff. I like that because the title insurance world, that's pretty old school, very set in its ways, right? I mean, that's kind of the way the industry is structured, and doing something like this is not normally something that people in my world do. But talk to me about like, when you first started doing like the disruptor stuff, like how was that maybe received, I guess. Maybe that's the best way to put it.
I think that was my first time, like what I share with Ralph and the team, like my first time being like in the lab, like in the sense of like, when you are a scientist and you get to experiment with all the cool tools that you've learned about in school, but you never got to practice, right? I think that was my first experience actually watching a brand grow from 0 to like 100. Because when we started Real Estate Disruptors, Ralph wasn't well known in the sense of like not a lot of realtors knew him. I always joke about this. I'm like, we had every single realtor decline a meeting with you, and now look at where you are. You know, wasn't well known. Brand didn't have enough brand presence, and it took a lot of work because people follow brands not just because they are promoting a giveaway or a sale, but people follow brands because they have aligned values. They like the brand, So it became a matter of building the trust with the realtors, putting together these events that offer value. And I mean, I would cold call realtors. I would go into the offices. I would promote the events. I would do cold DM outreach. Hey, help us promote, help us tag. And it just becomes a snowball effect where I actually witnessed this. The Real Estate Disruptor evolved into a different brand of its own, where now it's called Disruptors Network. It's now led by an entirely different team. I'm no longer so much involved, but it was such a beautiful thing to see a brand go from 0, literally 0.
Yeah.
0 is just an idea birthed into a child that grew into an adolescent that's evolving now into an adult, where now it's got the podcast, it's got the TV show, it's got the virtual events going on. We've got a big upcoming event in February with like well-known speakers. So it takes a lot of work. It does. But it was a team effort. It was exciting. It was passion, like a passion project. I'm glad I did it because I think I got to witness what it takes to really build a brand.
Yeah, no, I love that.
And a mortgage company and in the mortgage industry, which is so hard.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what I think is interesting about that too is the idea that like, so, and this is a good segue into kind of like some of the social media stuff that I had kind of mentioned before when we started, is like, talk to me about maybe the difference. I know that was cool to take a brand from 0 to what it is now, but maybe talk to me a little bit about making sure that you're also developing your own personal brand. So like I work for a Fortune 500 company. It has its own thing.
Michael,
yeah.
Can you pause me for 1 second?
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Okay. I apologize for that.
That's all good. All good.
All right. Watching my
recording in progress.
Yeah, it's all good. No problem. This is real life. Like this is what people are having to deal with like all the time right now. Like kids at home, all that kind of stuff. But we don't care. We do whatever we want here. So, all right, we're back. We took a quick break, but we're right back. I think the question that I was asking was talking about, building like a brand that's not yourself. Right.
Yeah.
And then building that brand. And I know that was cool watching it go from 0 to what it is now. But also talk to me about the importance. Was that your personal brand? Was that something that you were conscious and making sure that you were building also alongside with that?
Great question. A lot of the times when I used to do social media marketing seminars to small businesses and sales professionals, a lot of the common question I used to get is, should I market the company or should I market myself? And the answer is, people like to connect with people and not logos, So as you're marketing the brand, whether it's Real Estate Disruptors, whether it's your personal business, you also have to keep in mind, it's not the logo you're sharing.
Yeah.
It's the experience of working with the team. It's not the product you're sharing. It's the feeling that you get when you use that product. So always keeping that, I think that is the principle of social media marketing. People connect with people and not logos.
Right. So talk to me about like maybe some ways that people can do that. So like I see you doing it, and if people want to check it out, they could check out Instagram and LinkedIn and all those other platforms that you're on. But talk to me about maybe like some good ways to start doing that.
Good ways to start doing it, I think, is simple. Go on IG Live. I think being open and vulnerable, which is hard for me to do, and I think I still struggle with that, right? Sharing stories of authenticity, sharing stories of like how you had an obstacle challenge, how did you overcome that? People can relate to that. You know what? I think a lot of us sales professionals struggle with like, oh, we need to promote the house for sale, for sale, for sale.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, tell me the experience. What's it like living in that neighborhood? What's it like becoming a homeowner? Share with me that story of experience, and you've got that buyer.
Right.
You've got that customer.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great way to put it, because I think that like sometimes people that, maybe like if they're in my position, they work for like a corporate company and all that kind of stuff. It's easy to just be like Fidelity, and then people are just like, oh yeah, I know Fidelity, and they just kind of take you as you are. But
Perfect.
but then you don't actually build any actual trust. So one of the things that I've noticed, kind of doing my own personal brand building, is that like it doesn't always, like I don't always have to talk about title insurance. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like I could talk about anything. I could have just about anybody on this show. I mean, we keep it pretty, in a ballpark, but just about anybody on this show, to talk to them about what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. So are you putting stuff out there that's not just, like what you're doing?
Yeah, this is part of it. This is
right.
When I have to be a babysitter. Come over here. Come over here. Let me see you.
Hi.
No, I think definitely sharing parts of your life that people won't get to see on a resume, won't get to see, in a business meeting over the phone. I think again, people, how do you establish trust, especially in the pandemic? How do you build client acquisition when you're not meeting customers, when you're not taking them out to lunch, when you're not having that face-to-face? Is social media really gives them the opportunity to get to know you on a different level, on a more personal, on a more intimate level. So I teach the 80-20 rule, doesn't have to be all the time salesy, keep it like 80%. You can share about, your business, the products or services, but 20%, keep it personal, keep it lively, keep it going, keep it fun. Share things in your life that people would not normally know about you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So also, kind of as we're going through this, and I know you're doing mortgages and all that kind of stuff. And, I've seen a lot of the stuff that you have on your social medias, like I was talking about. So kind of like, let's dive into that a little bit. So like when you're helping people, accomplish that mission that you set out to do last year, I think people that are maybe in the market to buy a house or all that kind of stuff have seen what's gone on over the last couple of years. Like you and I have seen it. Anybody that's in the real estate industry has seen it. It's like the Wild West. Like there's so much crazy stuff that's happened over the last couple of years with houses going for way over asking price and no appraisals, no, that kind of stuff. And so talk to me about maybe like helping people get over that fear of being a renter, like maybe I am, full disclosure, I am, and then making that jump into actually purchasing a house in a market such as this.
Got it. Okay. So I will say this. I wrote about it in my previous posts. Buying a home has everything to do with mindset. I think those that are perfect credit score, qualify income-wise, have the best loan program, and have a pretty high, budget, pre-approved budget, they give up and they say market's too aggressive. I don't find the right house. Everything's going over asking. Everything seems too expensive. And you have the other buyer that barely qualified, not so great credit score, but puts in the work, gets their credit repaired, gets into an affordable loan program that allows them to put down a lesser down payment, and persistently looks, finds the home, a fixer-upper that may need some TLC, and becomes a homeowner. So who has more equity?
Right.
Who has more equity? So listen, regardless of the aggressive market that we're seeing, qualifications are going to remain the same. So just because it's an aggressive market doesn't mean that the requirements have become more aggressive. It doesn't mean that we raised our income qualifications or we raised our credit score requirements. No, you can still qualify with a minimum of 580 credit score, and you still can qualify with, moderate income. And there are loan programs that can help you with the down payments. So buying a home all comes down to your mindset, regardless of the market.
Right. Is the mindset thing like the most important thing that people need to make the jump on? Or is that the most, I don't want to, maybe mistake is not the right word, but is that the most common mistake that you see like when you're working with people like that?
1 second.
Yeah, no problem. Chaos.
Total.
I forget what my question was. Is like the mindset shift is like that seems like it's probably like the most important hurdle that people need to get over. But
Yeah.
are there like other things that when people come to you, maybe they've gone to a couple other mortgage brokers or lenders or whatever, that you're like why did they tell you this? Like are there things that people are just unaware of, like that they could be doing, or like setting themselves up for success when they actually get into that process?
Yeah, number one, don't overcomplicate your mind. I know as a first-time home buyer, you're going to have tons of questions, but let your loan officer do the work. The only thing you need to worry about is like, okay, do I qualify? If so, how much? Can I improve my credit? So credit is big.
Yeah.
In this country, credit is your reputation. So always tell people, your credit is your credibility to the banks. How reliable are you to pay back that loan? So I would say set yourself up for success by improving your credit score. That's definitely number one.
Yeah. Yeah. So, right. So, credit score, number one thing. So like, you mentioned, like certain demographics maybe that you're marketing to. So I think that's another thing when we're talking about like marketing and all that kind of stuff and building a brand.
Yeah.
Like, I think you need to know like where your audience is that something that you need to be conscious of? Like when you're putting your stuff out there, like where are your people to get that business from?
Yeah, I mean, your audience all comes down to you. People are going to do business with you because they like you and they trust you, right? So whatever you put on a social media is what people get to see. So are you educational? Are you entertaining? Do you offer value? How is your personality? Are you bubbly? Are you serious? Are you inquisitive? And listen, there's no such thing as like, this is the personality to have.
Yeah.
One I may not vibe with every customer, with every real estate agent, but there are real estate agents and first time home buyers that will vibe with my personality and with my content. So you're definitely going to attract people that are aligned with who you are. That's just by default, the way real life works, but it's social media as well. What we put out there, people are perceptive or form their own opinions of who you are, and they're going to determine, yeah, Vicky's the girl I want to work with, or you know what, I'm going to go with someone else.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
fine.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I think that's like one of the things that people tend to like lose is like you can put yourself out there and put your vibe out there, and then if people don't like it, I think people get scared and they're just like, "Oh, I need to talk to everybody." And then I think you're
Yeah.
alienating the people that would have liked you anyway if you had been yourself. So now you don't have anybody, and people can read the BS like very, very easily these days, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
I used to be the way. When I left PR Newswire and I started my business, I printed 500 business cards. I went on meetup.com. I saw the free events, the networking events. I went to New York City and I attended the events with my stack of business cards. And I would say, hi, I'm Vicky. Hi, I'm Vicky. Hi, I'm Vicky. Hand all of them out. By the end of even that first year, 0 clients from those events. And what I learned is that business does not work that way.
Right.
Business does not work that way. I think it's been almost 3 years since I've eliminated business cards entirely. I don't hand out a business card. You're going to attract the people that are attracted to your values and who you are.
Yeah.
So that was a big lesson for me. Huge.
Right.
Because I'm no longer seeking to target hundreds of people. I want to work with the people that like me and trust me, and we can establish a connection. And sometimes that can be something like this, inviting people to a podcast. It can be putting out good content. It doesn't have to happen in a face-to-face or a networking event. Right. I actually learned how to prospect during the pandemic solely online.
Yeah. I was very similar. It was just like I would kind of LinkedIn almost became my cold calling, to a certain degree.
Yes.
And then like, maybe 10, I get one response, and then maybe I can kind of like, parlay that into a actual connection rather than just like a random LinkedIn DM or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So talk to me also, like you mentioned in your previous answer about adding value. So I think like that's another thing that sometimes people that are in sales are just like, well, I sell title insurance, I sell mortgages, and like that's the value that I bring. But how many people are out there that are like me or like you? I don't even know. The number is infinite, especially like here in New Jersey. So talk to me about ways that you go about. I mean, I know social media is a big thing for you, but are there other ways that you go about giving value and adding value to your clients and what they're doing?
Excuse me.
Bless you.
I'm also battling a cold simultaneously while everything else is going on. So I think that's interesting. Value, adding value. And I get this question, how do I add value, right? The common salesperson, what they do is they will take a flyer, literally like just like a one-page flyer, and they'll create the PDF version of it. And then they'll post that flyer on their LinkedIn. They'll post that flyer on their Instagram. And they call it value.
Yeah.
That's not value. That's not value. You know, you got to understand there's a psychology behind the way people consume content on social media. You know, people on social media, you have like a 3-second attention span. That really is it. Like the first 3 seconds. So first 3 seconds isn't going to capture or read information text on a flyer. So that's number one. Do not post flyers. They're horrible for the algorithms. Nobody cares. You'll get low engagement. It's going to hurt your engagement level. So what you do is you take that flyer, you read it, you digest it, you ask yourself, what are the most important parts of this program that I like to explain to my followers? And what content can I create on a social media platform that's going to break it down to them in layman's terms for a 5-year-old, for a 7-year-old? So you can do Instagram Reels. You can do a LinkedIn post with like bullets. You can do an IG story and break it down into several stories. You can share a story of when you helped the client obtain that success using this loan program or using this title insurance and the importance of it. Storytelling becomes key in content creation. People love a good story. So that's the way that people digest information. It's psychological. That's how you offer value. If you don't know where to start and you're a sales professional, how do I offer value? What do I have to say? I have nothing to say. I'm just like every other loan officer. Start there. Take a program that you know like the back of your hand and break it down to us. Explain it to us. Talk to it about it. Do an IG live about it. Create a reel about it. You don't know how to create reels? YouTube it. The information is there.
Right. Yeah, right. There's like so many different ways to kind of like get yourself out there and get it in front of people and show that you know what you're talking about, because people don't want to work with people that don't know what they're talking about. So here's just like a very like high level question. So do you think you would have been as successful maybe in this mortgage business as you are now, if not for the previous experiences doing the marketing stuff?
I would not be.
Yeah.
Nowhere near it,
right.
For sure.
Yeah.
I would be the average loan officer trying to structure a deal instead of focus on business development.
Right. And
go ahead.
No, you. Yeah, this is all you. Yeah.
And marketing and putting yourself out there and prospecting and reaching out to people on LinkedIn, that's business development. And sales professionals focus on structuring that contract, structuring that deal, trying to like get everything submitted instead of focusing on the prospecting aspect that's really going to grow their business. So absolutely, I would not be where I am today had it not been for just an inquisitiveness, a curiosity. I'm not even going to say an expertise, because I'm not there yet, even with marketing. And inquisitiveness I had for marketing that's helped me where I am today in the mortgage industry.
So when you're working in this with Cardinal Financial, are you working like with a team, or are you kind of just like operating more as a silo?
Great question. So we are a nationwide company, licensed in 50 states, but our division has close to 100 loan officers.
Okay.
So you don't really get to see them, like they're either working from home or in an office, but I actually work with a close team of about 5 to 6 loan officers. So whenever someone sends me a lead or a buyer, I'm like getting that deal ready, putting them through the system, running credit, and then they're handed off to one of my loan officers. And then they're working on that file. Got
it. So talk to me about the importance of the team, right? So like you obviously are working together, doing different things, but are trying to achieve the same goal. So obviously that has to be like an integral part to what it is that you're doing, right?
Absolutely. I think, even as an entrepreneur, you need to be part of some team.
Yeah.
You need to feel like you're part of some community, because teams create accountability, and accountability creates productivity, and productivity then adds to your bottom dollar, and helps you grow your business.
Right.
Entrepreneurs that are like isolated, have no direction, their failure rate may be much higher. But if you are part of a team, in this case, yes, I'm part of a bigger team, a much bigger team. You don't see the operations, you don't see any of that, but they exist they become your backbone to your business.
Yeah.
And this is what you need to help scale a business.
Right, 100%. So let's talk a little bit about, because, obviously it seems as though, I'm not going to say obviously, because, we just met, but it seems as though like you're very driven and you have goals, right? So
Yeah.
do you have goals that maybe you're trying to accomplish over the next year, 2 years, short-term goals, long-term goals? Are you that kind of person?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I definitely want to buy another investment property for 2022. I have my eyes on that. I'm prepping myself with my taxes, my credit, and everything. I'm definitely looking to migrate to Florida. That's another goal of mine. That's definitely going to happen. I'm definitely looking to be healthier and just have like a fitness goal of mine. I want to perfect, like I started taking boxing classes. And
Okay.
I don't post about it. Rarely do I, but be more consistent. I have a personal trainer. Again, that helps with accountability. So definitely a goal person.
Right. Right. So on the real estate investing side, I know that was something that you started last year too, right?
No.
Oh, before that.
When I was 21, I purchased my first condo, which helped me saving up to then leave PR Newswire.
Oh, okay. So this has been going on for a while now. And does that,
Yeah.
and being in like the real estate, like investing in real estate, you're seeing like a lot of stuff come through like on your own personal stuff. And I'm sure that helps educate yourself on how you could help educate other people too, right?
Yeah, I think, my personal experiences, I now share them. I'm more vocal about it on social media because I want others to see, like, if this girl can do it, there may be another younger female watching me. If she can do it, why can't I?
Right.
So yeah, exactly. Stories of relatability become more important to me, that I'm able to open up and share them.
Right. All right, so let's move the show into our closing segment, which we call Under the Spotlight. So the Spotlighters have been listening to us talk for the entirety of this episode, I'm sure. So what would be one thing that you would want them to walk away from this episode with? So you're under the spotlight.
What would one thing that I would want... Yes. One thing I would want to have the viewers walk away with is that you are not born with talent. Talent is nurtured. Talent is, consistency. You cannot outperform your competitor if you are not outworking your competitor. I learned that pivoting to the mortgage industry when I came into it, zero knowledge, zero experience, never closed a deal, never acquired a buyer, didn't know how to position myself, but I was so determined to make this work. I figured it out. So all that takes is that whole cliche of like early bird gets the worm first, or determination.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you practice that, if you have a conviction to that, if you outperform your competitor, you can really crush it in any industry.
Yeah.
In any industry.
Yeah, definitely. Competition. Love it. I think that's the first time people have talked about competition on here, which I really appreciate, because that is a big part of it, because I'm competitive, I totally agree with that.
Competitive.
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Totally okay. We can be competitive, and, I can say I beat you this month, and at the end of the day, we can still shake hands.
Right.
But you need that sense of like
drive,
competition. You need it.
Right.
You need it.
Exactly.
You need it.
100%. All right. So if people want to learn more about you, what are some places that they should be going to learn more about you?
Definitely Vicky Llerena on LinkedIn, but I'm also very active on my Instagram as well. Llerena Vicky is my Instagram handle.
Awesome. All right. So I will make sure that I put those handles in the show notes, along with themorningspotlight.com and themorningspotlight@gmail.com. Vicky, thank you so much for coming on with us today. I know you have a lot going on, but it was great that we got through it, learned a lot over the course of this episode, and I know the viewers and listeners got a lot from this, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate it.
Of course. And the Spotlighters, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.